another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
Hello, welcome to this latest Lukozer retro video review, and for this one it is Impossible Mission 2, and surely the impossible mission as far as this one was concerned was to try and actually do a sequel that did justice to the original, and well, I'll get straight to the point, it didn't succeed. Now I'll also point out a bit of a confession. I didn't have this in the day. I had this for the Amiga. I didn't have the Commodore 64 version. I've only played the C64 version about 3 or 4 times. Indeed, it's been quite a while since I played this at all, so I am rather rusty at it, as you will no doubt find out. So you have 8 hours in which to complete the mission, whereas in the original you had 6. And the layout is somewhat different. This time you're actually in a skyscraper, and you only have access to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rooms in this case within this particular tower that makes up the skyscraper. You can see here that the different kinds of robots have changed. And there is also some kind of pseudo 3D effect. Now the robot at the very top platform there, he's pretty much the new look version of the robots that were in the original game. The one below it, there are actually 2 different variations of that one. Some will kill you as soon as they touch you, some will just push you away, and there's even one called a suicide bot which grabs hold of you and then throws you down the nearest hole and takes itself with you. So the bad news is you lose a life. The good news is he only does it the once, because then he's gone. I'm not sure if that's actually in the 64 version or not. Now this robot that's next to me here doesn't actually kill you, so you can stand in front of him no problem. But what he does do is he rides up and down the lift platforms, and generally he's a bit of a pain in the arse, because he can often, oh hang on, we'll come to that one in a bit, he can often result in you having to deal with waiting around for him to bring your platform back, which he almost never does. So yeah, he's just a king-size pain in the arse. Now you can see here, this lift platform I'm on doesn't stop on the bottom platform, it goes straight to the top one. But you can now move on platforms, so if I can get the timing right, my intention is to drop the platform down while he's heading away, like so. So that now, if I balls this up, I'm actually not doing too bad in this room, which makes a change. I think this, oh no, that robot isn't going to shoot me, he's just going to rush right at me. And it means getting that last one is going to be a bit of a pain. Whoa, that was close. Right, I've cleared that room out. I'm pleasantly surprised by that. Now, instead of finding bits of key cards, you go around and pick up various numbers which make up part of a code which allows you to then get access to the next tower. On top of that, you also have to break into a safe and record bits of music which you then eventually play back in order to gain access to the central tower and the final room, after which you then have Elvin Attenbender waiting for you. Here you can see the robot here riding the platform left and right. Now, I've got to be a bit careful here. You can see that the robot's firing in this one is nowhere near as clear as it was in the first game. On top of that, you can't hear them firing either. So let's hope that this robot is... Okay, I'm gonna push me down. So the speech for that part is the same. I'm trying to get shot of this robot that rides the platforms. It doesn't look like I can, so okay. I think he's going to speed up. Yeah, he is. Okay. Ah, right, I'm admitting defeat with that one. Now, in the first game, you had two other kinds of passwords. You had the lift initializers and the snooze. Now, in this version, you get those two as well. I bet you that robot fires as soon as I go past. Well, he did, but didn't fire fast enough. As well as the snooze and the lift initializers, there are several other passwords that you need to get hold of. One is a light fitting, which is pretty self-explanatory. It turns the lights on. There are some rooms you enter that are completely dark. You cannot see a damn thing. Yeah, I'm having trouble seeing how I can get down there without any grief. I don't think there is a way. Yeah, that don't help either. So let's show you the other... so there's the lights which you need. That's the snooze which you need. The top one there is the lift initializer, so I have 3 of those. Now this one here, there are some floors which you can't move normally. You can only move by use of these passwords. If I find one, I'll point it out. This one here is a mine. Now if you lay that and a robot goes over it, it destroys the robot. Unfortunately, it also leaves a hole in the floor. So if you do it on the very bottom, it means that you've got to either jump or step over it, otherwise you fall to your death. In some rooms it's a bit of a pain because you have to lay one down in order to be able to access the area below it. But you have to be a bit careful with those things, because once they go off, or once you've dropped them, it's incredibly easy to then step on them yourself and yeah, kill yourself and waste the mine. This one here is the bomb which you need to set in front of the safe in order to then search it and take the recording of a piece of music. So yes, a lot more in the way of passwords to find than there was in the previous one. I'm going to have one more stab at this. Here we go. Now, okay, no, I'm not completely stuck. I can drop down there and hope that that robot is only one that pushes, it doesn't kill you. But actually, even if it is a push one, yeah, he's going to either push me into a wall or push me against that robot, so I was dead no matter what I did. Alright, well, let's head out of there. Check to see if we have any of the right numbers. Okay, so 9 is right for that one. Don't have the right yellow one. Certainly don't have the right green one. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, now that's quite handy that he can't reach the platform I'm on. There's a snooze that I've just grabbed hold of. There's another part of the number code. Oh, shit. Now he's going to be able to use the platforms, which I really don't want him to do, so I'll... Well, that robot below me is one of the paranoid ones that keeps looking behind, but then he... Okay, now he is doing something. Well, the good news is I'm not getting so many nothings, but I am getting a lot of stuff that I really don't need. I want to be able to find a actual password, or an actual number, and gain access to part of the tower. Now I have a horrible feeling if I jump down here, okay, I've got away with it. Okay, no I didn't. Well, this one I need to get, but he's just going to keep rushing me every time. So is he. He's not firing, which is handy. Ah, yeah. This one on the bottom is... Oh, I didn't mean to actually leave. This one on the bottom is just going to keep following me around as well. There's another number code. I have to say, although the Commodore 64 version, I mean, it's nowhere near as good as the first game. I had a feeling I was going to do that. It's nowhere near as good as the original Impossible Mission, but the Commodore 64 version is significantly better than the Amiga version. The Amiga one, the sound was nowhere near as good. In fact, half the time there wasn't any sound. It was very quiet. But also the animation on the character wasn't as good. He ran a lot slower. And yeah, his sounds, it sounded more like he was wading through mud than actually walking along various platforms. Now, I've got to be careful here because yeah, that robot's now spotted that end platform and he's going to use it and be a pain. Now, this is what I mean about those platform riding robots being a pain in the arse. Now that robot there is firing, but I can get to that one anyway, even though there was nothing there. Is this robot going to start firing if I get too close? No. Okay, that's given me some extra time. That's something else that you don't get in the original or in the first, in the first game. Oh. Thought I'd overcooked that one as well. Well, the trouble with the amount of detail in the backgrounds and this whole pseudo 3D effects, which really doesn't work and doesn't suit the game, is you can't always tell what things you can search and what things you can't. And there are 3 things left in this room that I can search. But you'd have a hard time knowing that if you hadn't played the game before. Alright, let's see how I'm doing with my codes now. Okay, so that one's found. And right, so I think I have the... There you go. Right, so I've completed the numbers. I can now exit this area and get to the next tower, but I haven't yet found the safe with the music, which is a pretty good point actually. I've been to all the rooms and I don't remember even seeing it. Right, there we go. It's not there. It must be in a room that I didn't stick around in for very long. Not there. There it is. I have no idea how I'm going to get that one. Well, I'll tell you what, I can't get it from here, so it's the 3rd tower. We now have to run right the way round so that we can enter it from the other side. Here we go. Oh, I've got to time this quite well. How the hell do I get down there though? Ah, I have a horrible feeling I know how. With using one of these. So the mine is set. And now drop it. The robot has been destroyed. Now we need to prime the bomb. Which we drop in front of the safe, which has now been destroyed. In fact, I may... no, I can't risk using a mine because it could destroy the safe. Got that. So, now we need to use a lift initializer. So I can now leave. Right. So now we have the first piece of music, and if we rewind the tape, we can play it back. There you go. Now, just to really throw a spanner in the works, although there are 8 towers, there are only 7 pieces of music. And you have to, we have to try and find the 7 different pieces. If you have a duplicate piece, you can't enter the tower. So once you then pick up a duplicate piece, as we now walk through the to the exit or access the new tower that we can now reach. This is the computer center. This only has 5 rooms, this tower. But yeah, if you if you pick up the or record the duplicate piece of music, you then have to rewind the tape back to the start of that piece. They're all 25 seconds long, and record over it. So they're not joking when they call this impossible mission, because there is an awful lot to do here. I can't really do anything entering here unless I wait for that platform riding robot to come back, but then there's no guarantee he's going to drop the platform down here. If he doesn't, I'm going to bugger off. Oh, he does. Ah, oh, you fuck. Right, okay, let's try another one then. Now, like the first impossible mission, I also completed this one. I found it somewhat easier to complete than the first game. That's probably not the biggest shock in the world. Yeah, the first one is far more challenging. This is, yeah, somewhat easier. Graphically it's not as good. I don't think the pseudo 3D effects in each of the rooms really works. I don't think it was really necessary to do either. I'm not sure why they felt that, you know, they had to do it. This room is extremely difficult. Trouble is, I do have the means of destroying that or opening the safe, but I've got to time that right, which I certainly didn't do there. I'll come back to that later. Actually, I probably won't come back to it at all. I'll finish doing the video before then. So yeah, so graphically I don't think it's as good, even though it has more detail. It's a bit messy, I think, in places. The new robots aren't as clearly defined as they are in the original. You can't see their shots as well, and you can't hear them at all, so you know, you haven't got much of a warning. It does all look rather cluttered, and so yeah, graphically I'm not anywhere near as impressed with this. Yes, I forgot to mention you can enter rooms by going up from the well, you take a lift from the top of one room and appear at the bottom of another, and then you can go back down again. Haven't quite cleared this one out, but we're not doing too bad. I'm going to pull it right down. Yep, I knew that was coming. I have a feeling I'm going to regret this as well. Oh, no. Okay, well, I don't know how to get out of here, so okay, we'll do it that way. Right, with only 5 rooms, I've already searched everywhere in this tower. There's a good chance I've already, you know, okay, I've definitely found one number. Right, well, it's either the 8 or the 4. I've got no way of knowing. It could even be both. But, so I certainly have at least one other number to find, and of course I've still got to get the music. But that is Impossible Mission 2. I mean, it's not terrible. It's still, you know, a decent game, but it's just that by calling it Impossible Mission 2, it meant that expectations were extremely high, and it really never stood a hope in hell of living up to the expectations. To try and be a decent sequel to, you know, the greatest game ever made, yeah, it was a bit of a thankless task, and they didn't succeed in doing it. It's still okay, but yeah, stick with the original one. The original is just the one to have. If you want one that's not quite as difficult, then, you know, I guess give this one a go. I would give this I'll give it 8 out of 10. I mean, even though I've been speaking somewhat disparaging of it, it still plays pretty well. I say the only real fault with it is that it's trying to be something that it, well, never had a hope in hell of being, and that's a game that was going to surpass the original impossible mission, which well, that really was an impossible mission. So yeah, in that regard, it failed miserably. But yeah, it's not a terrible game. It's you know, can be quite enjoyable. So yes, 8 out of 10. Not bad at all, despite everything I've just said. So yeah, that brings this video to an end, I think. See you at the next one.